Hey guys, ooh geez, a lot of volume going on. Hey guys, welcome to the very final segment of Makeup Effects Live at IMATS 2015. What a day. We have talked to so many incredible artists, and what better way to go out than with Jordu Schell and Ve Neill. I mean, there's more talent sitting right here than, I got to come up with a good comparison, but the best.
Crazy.
I'm not going to host this segment. This will be the first segment that I'm actually going to hand over to someone, foolishly, and that person is Jordu Schell. We love Jordu. We've done a lot of courses with Jordu. He's hosted for us at Monsterpalooza, and I said, out of all the people who are going to be here, who do you want to talk to most? And who did you say? Craig Reardon.
Said
and
Rick
then I
Baker,
said, who's your second? And you said Steve Laporte. And then we finally got to V.
Okay. Well, I didn't think
No,
V
V
was going
was
to be
the first-
available. Don't try to.
V was the one. He said
Typical
V.
of Matt. Typical
No,
of Matt.
no, he said Ve Neill, and so I got in touch with V and said, V, Jordu really wants to talk to you, and you said yes.
Yes, and then I sent you a really funny picture of yourself.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did, and we might have to show it during this segment.
I think you might have to.
But I'm going to skedaddle and let you run the show. I don't know what you're going to do.
You are in
and
so
I
much
love
trouble.
this feeling, and I'm scared. Everyone, the final segment of Makeup Effects Live at IMATS, hosted by Jordu Schell with very, very, very special guest, Ve Neill. Take it away.
Thank you. Hi, darling. You're supposed to move over there.
Oh, I'm going to go over here per Matt's request. Hunger Games, Pirates of the Caribbean, Amistad, Edward Scissorhands, and many, many more. What do all those things have in common? Which camera am I looking at? Hi.
It's Ve Neill.
They have in common multiple Academy Award winner Ve Neill, who I've admired from afar for many years. I got to know her a little better when we were on Face Off together. I co-hosted one night, and she's a regular judge on that show. Welcome.
Thank you, Jordu. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
A goddess of makeup. Let's start at the very, very beginning, V. What is it that attracted you to putting stuff on people's faces? What was that?
Well, you know, when I was a little kid, I just thought it was so exciting to be able to transform somebody into something else, some other creature or animal or human being or just anything, just not be normal, you know, not be whatever you were. I guess I was just one of those kind of kids that wasn't really happy being where I was in my in the world, you know, and I just wanted to be someplace else or be somebody else. And I just thought it was so exciting to be able to actually do that, you know, have some way to do that. And I thought, God, when I grow up, that's what I want to do.
And where are you from originally? Are you from California?
I am from California. I'm actually a Valley girl. Grew up in the San Fernando Valley. And at the time, my next door neighbor, Leo Latito, was a makeup artist. And I used to, you know, his daughter and I were best friends. So when I was very little, you know, during Halloween, when Halloween would come, he would always make us up. And I, of course, was always wanted to be a monster of some sort. And his daughter always wanted to be a princess or a fairy or some other little girly thing. And, you know, and I was some horrible thing all the time. So we were a perfect pair. And every year, and I'd say to him, oh, Mr. Latito, I want to do what you do when I grow up. And he'd go, yeah, sure, kid. You know, and I mean, the year before I got in the union, he was at a dinner. My mom says, do you want to come over? Leo and his wife are coming over. Do you want to come over and tell them what you've been doing? Because by that time, I had been doing like little non-union things for about 3 years. And I had a lot of cool things I had done that I thought were cool. And I showed him my pictures and stuff. And he sat there in the living room and he started laughing at me. And he says, you know what? You're never going to get in the union. I was heartbroken. I was just devastated. And I said, you know what? I got so mad. I started shaking. And because I thought, here is a man who I like admired for all my life, and I always told him I wanted to do what he did, and he was not even in any way trying to help me, you know. And I said, you know what, Leo? And I had never called him by his first name. I said, you know what, Leo? I said, you just watch me.
Yeah.
And the next year I got in the union.
Really? Okay. What a story.
Well, then there you have it. You know, it was like during that period, like in 1975, where they had to open up the unions because there weren't enough people to, you know, do whatever they needed to do. So I was called a 30-day wonder for quite a long time because all you needed to do was have a 30 days on a show that went union or consignator or whatever they want to call it during that period. So I got into union, and the rest is history.
What did he have to say about that?
He actually didn't talk to me for quite a long time. I mean, we were not familiar. You know, he lived far away, and I don't know what he was doing. But shortly thereafter, he became head of the department at what is now Warner Brothers. So I mean, it went through a configuration of Columbia. It was the Burbank Studios, whatever, and he was department head there for a short time. And he actually called me up one time to come and do a movie. So I just happened to be in between things, and I went and did it. And the producer, who just happened to be a woman, which was a very unusual thing as well back that long ago, liked me so much she wanted me to come and do another film. And so Leo called me up again, and at the time I was working on the A-Team, and
Wow.
they kept paying me more money all the time because they didn't want to lose me because George really liked me. So I said, well, what kind of money are you offering? He goes, oh, well, scale. And I said, you know what, I'd be pretty damn stupid to leave the job that I get paid over scale to come do your movie of the week, don't you think, Leo? And he goes, there was like dead silence on the other end of the line. I said, yeah. He says, yeah, I guess so. I went, okay, well, thank you for asking, though.
Well, one of the things I'm particularly interested to talk to you about is the fact that a lot of young women look up to you because this is a boys' club.
Oh,
You
boy,
know?
is it. Still is, after all these years.
Yeah.
After
And-
40 years, it's still a boys' club.
Yeah. And you've broken a certain ceiling, by becoming so well respected, by being so amazingly good at what you do, by winning multiple awards, BAFTAs, Academy Awards. So what has it been like to become so recognized, and what kind of advice would you have for especially the young women that are trying to reach your standard, your level?
I think for me, I was very fortunate because when I started, there was like no women doing it, maybe one or two, but there weren't even a lot of men doing it when I started. So when I came into this process, I mean, I was one of very few people in general. So I was very fortunate in the fact that there was not a lot of competition. There was also no schools, basically. I think Elegance was around, but they really weren't teaching, what we do now. But I think right now, because there is so much competition, I think you better have a really good mindset as to what you really want to do if you want to become a makeup artist, and really figure out what your goals are, because in this business, it's very difficult, number one, being a woman, number one. Number two, if you want to get married and have a family, forget about it. Because now they don't even make movies in California. If you want to do commercials, if you want to do print work, that's all well and good. You can stay in California or wherever you live. But for us to do movies now, we don't shoot in California anymore. I am never home. I was just gone for 9 months on the last 2 Hunger Games movies. I mean, I would have gotten a divorce if I had been married, So, it's a very difficult life for a woman in general. You have to have, you have to make sure you know yourself, know your partner if your partner's willing to go along with this. There are some husband and wife teams that have been very successful at staying together. But I mean, just in general, to have a normal life, it's a very difficult lifestyle. But my passion was always doing this. I mean, ever since, like I said, when I was 5 years old. So I really let nothing get in my way. And as a result, there's many things that have suffered. My personal life has suffered a little bit. Not suffered, I shouldn't say, because I don't mind it, but you don't have like the normal life that everybody has, just like so many actors have the same thing going on. It's very difficult for them to hold, a relationship together. But I mean, if you want this life, you have to be willing to give up a lot of stuff. It's not that easy. I mean, like I said, we're never home. And
What are some of your primary influences, or is there anyone that you looked up to as a young person who said, someday I want to be like that?
Well, when I was little, the only thing I had to compare with was like, Jack Pierce. And, I used to watch those old movies over and over. I mean, when I was a little kid, there was this thing called the $1 Million Theater, I think.
$1 Million Movie.
$1 Million Movie, was that what it was?
Yeah, and they showed the same movie
every day
for
at
a
5
week.
o'clock for a week.
I remember that.
And when they would come on, I would watch them every day. And my mother goes, I don't know where you get this. Why do you like that stuff so much? And I said, I don't know. I want to do that.
Were you a fan of The Wizard of Oz?
Oh, yeah. I mean, all of that. I mean, when I was a little kid, if it had something weird in it, I wanted to know what it was, Mm-hmm. But I was always told growing up, you can't do that, you're a woman. You can't do that, you're a woman. And I heard that so many times. It was like, And I said, okay, well, I want to be an archaeologist. My mother says, well, you have to have money or know somebody. And I went, oh, Jesus Christ, I'm not going to be able to do anything.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you're a woman. What am I supposed to do? Stay home and cook or something, you know? And my mother was a career woman. She was like amazing. She was always gone working. But I finally thought, well, this is just so weird. What do men know about makeup anyway? They don't even wear it. You know, it's like, okay, so I'm just going to, you know, I'll go to a fashion merchandising school and I'll learn how to do costumes because I like to make costumes too. And I did hair and I did all that kind of stuff. And I had a vintage clothing store for a while and I started doing stuff with rock bands. I'd save them different pieces of clothes. And then I had this really crazy band from LA that wanted me to start making them these spacesuits and stuff. And so I gave them crazy haircuts and did, you know, stupid makeups on them. And they said, well, this is all well and good, but we want big heads and pointed ears and crazy looking stuff like that. And I said, you know what? I'm so happy. I said, I don't know how to do it, but I'll go find out. So I went to a science fiction convention, and there was a bunch of guys walking around in these Planet of the Apes makeups. And I went up to him and I said, hey, you guys, I said, where did you get those masks? And the guy looked at me very indignantly. He says, they're not masks, they're makeup. And I said, they are? I said, well, where'd you get them? And they said, well, we made them. And I said, wow. And I said, so to make it long story short, I said, can you teach me how to do that, basically, after I schmoozed them for like about a half an hour. Because they kept giving me the same thing, but you're a chick. What do you want to do this for? And I said, I want to know how to do this. I want to do it. And that's when I met Steve Neill and all of his buddies and a bunch of people that we all know for many, many years now. And I stayed with Steve for about 3 years, and he taught me how to do it. Turns out I was much better at the application than he was. He didn't like to be around people, and I did. I hated lab work. I did it for 3 years, absolutely hated it. I wanted to know how to do it because I wanted to know how you made the stuff, you know. But it was never my passion to be in a room locked up, you know, with chemicals and crap and, you know, all that horrible things that you have to breathe all day long and sculpt and all that stuff. So I knew my passion was always going to be the application. So I learned how to do that as best as I could. And
but you did sculpt, and in fact,
I have done some sculpting.
Your work on Star Trek: The Motion Picture. This came up while we were on Face Off together, and I said, "So, V, have you ever done sculpting?" She said, "Oh, I did some sculpting on Star Trek: The Motion Picture." I said, "Oh, really?" She said, "Yeah, I did a mask of some alien." I said, "What was that mask?" "Well, it was kind of a conical-headed purple alien with big," and I went,
"Big yellow eyes."
"That thing! I made that thing." Do we have a picture of that?
You did not.
I sculpted. There it is.
It probably looks
Look,
good.
There it is.
Oh my God, that is it. Oh Jesus.
And I said, that sculpture, that creature was so cool to me that I wish we had a picture of it right now. I did a mask of that. I copied that when I was about 17. I thought that is the coolest thing
It was probably
ever.
fabulous when you did it.
No, that thing is amazing, and I've always loved that design. And isn't that something?
That's so funny.
The one of the few sculptures you say you've done for a film, and it was so inspiring to me that I ended up creating a mask of that thing. I did. The mask was not good. It wasn't as good as that, but I just was amazed. Did you gloss the eyes of that thing with epoxy?
Yeah, something like that. I don't remember. I mean, it was supposed to be like a background guy. They just said, hey, do you guys want to do something? And I said, sure. You know, Fred Phillips was the department head, lovely man who's since passed, one of my mentors. And I said, sure, I'll do one, because we had time. Sometimes we'd sit around in the makeup rooms and the stages and do stuff. And
they had a big picture of that well, not big, but it was about that big in Fangoria magazine, because they did a whole spread on the aliens of Star Trek: The Motion Picture, and I immediately gravitated to that. You know what it is, V? You know what that thing is? Good design.
Really?
You are a good designer. whether you think you are or not, you're a good sculptor and designer.
Wow.
As well as an astounding applicator. So kudos to you, madam.
Thank you.
So now, tell me what it was like.
Can I just say one thing about that guy?
Oh, please.
I was shocked. I got the Star Trek lunchbox. He's on the lunchbox.
Because he's cool. He's cool.
I flipped out.
People know it's cool. I thought it was cool. That's why I made it.
Okay, moving on from my purple and yellow guy.
Okay, I love that thing. I'll always love it forever. So, when you were nominated for your first Academy Award, which was for
Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice, what was the feeling? What was that feeling
I
like
was
to know you were
freaked
nominated?
out because number one, I was up against Rick Baker and Tom Berman, and I thought, oh my God, we're never going to win. We're like up against, Tom Berman has been around much longer than either Rick or myself, and Rick Baker is like amazing, and that was for Coming to America, and I even helped him on that. I saw those makeups in person. They were just mind blowing. I thought we're never going to win. And I thought, and plus it's weird, cartoony, quirky looking stuff, And I'll tell you what, when we won, I was so freaked out. I went up there with Steve Laporte and Bob Short, and we had gone to the brunch, which is probably the best part about getting nominated for an Oscar. They have a brunch with all the nominees, which is really fun because there's no pressure. You're all just there together having, food and drinks and having a blast. And I remember thinking, wow, this is going to be cool. And they tell you everything, don't walk, don't saunter up there. You're happy. You want to run up there. You want to grab that thing, And they said there'll be a big screen and it's going to blink on and off and tell you when you're almost done. And they'll say 45 seconds, blah, 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 this, that. I got up there. I saw nothing but white light. I saw nothing. I was like the highest I have ever been in my life. I was just so elated. Everything was white. And when we got to the back, I said to Steve, Steve, did you see the screen or anything? He goes, I didn't see anything. I just saw white light. I went, oh my God, so did I. And so I thought, well, if I ever get a chance to come up here ever again in my life, I'm going to see where the screen and all this stuff is that they're talking about. So
now
the next time,
yeah, it's been 3 times now.
when I won for Mrs. Doubtfire, I got up there and I was looking around. I'm going, wow, yeah, I see all the people and the screen and the numbers and everything. I'm thinking, wow, how did I miss this the first time? That just shows you how, freaked out you can be. So that's how freaked out I was. I saw nothing. I was blindsided, basically.
Was it weird to be up there knowing that all these movie stars were watching you?
Oh, hell yeah.
Win this thing?
Yeah.
That must be very surreal.
And plus, I just kept thinking, oh my God, this is so unbelievable. How did this happen? How did we win? And I was just thinking, well, maybe they're just tired of giving them to Rick or something. I don't know.
Well, you did, and you've won 3 times now.
Yeah.
So you've achieved a great deal in your lifetime, not only as a makeup artist, but a female makeup artist and a multiple Academy Award winner, BAFTA winner. You've had legions of fans who look up to you. You're on the television show Face Off. Is there what's in the future for Ve Neill? What does she want still?
Well, I don't know. Recently on the Hunger Games, I met the fabulous young actress, Jennifer Lawrence. Mm-hmm. And Jennifer, when we were on the first Hunger Games, she said to me one day, she just looked at me, she goes, V, she said, do people ever ask makeup artists and stuff like just to do their movies with them and just be with them all the time? And I said, oh yeah, it happens all the time. She goes, so if I asked you to be my personal makeup artist, do you think you would do that? And I looked at her and I kid you not, started crying. And she goes, oh my God, did I hurt your feelings? Did I say something wrong? And I said, are you kidding me? I said, no woman has ever asked me to be their makeup artist, let alone somebody of your stature. And I said, I'm like dumbfounded. So this is my goal now. Now I want to be known as a beauty makeup artist because people seem to forget that with all of these movies that I've done, I also did all the women. It wasn't just, the special effects makeup I was doing all the women, and some of them were quite elaborate makeups on some of them, and so people don't realize that. So the fact that now I will be known as a beauty makeup artist is really something that's very important to me. So
are you going to take Miss Lawrence up on her?
Well, she still tells me I'm her personal makeup artist, and I have actually done a lot of her red carpet stuff with her and a lot of her press with her. I've done the last two press tours for the Hunger Games with her. I also did, a lot of personal things for her, and she's so lovely and so
Word
genuine.
is that she's extremely nice and down to earth.
Oh, she's a doll. She's an absolute doll. The sweetest girl ever.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
that is just fantastic.
Yeah, so I'm pretty happy about that.
What is now? We've got only a few minutes left, if only maybe a minute. What is your very favorite film to have worked on? The one you look at and go, in your DVD collection, you go, that one.
God, you know, I have so many favorite ones. I can't. I mean, some of them are different for different reasons. Like for the longest time, I said The Lost Boys was my favorite movie to do, and I still kind of have that in the back of my head that that's like one of my favorites. But that's one of my favorite old ones. I think probably later on, I would have to say, I love doing the Hunger Games to be involved with the kids, but I think I really loved the pirate movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were fun.
What was?
I mean, what's not to love? You're on a ship with 100 bitchin'-looking guys all dressed up in
Yeah.
pirate gear.
I heard
What's
you
not to
mention-
love?
I heard you mention pirates. And
Yeah.
That's my cue to re-enter.
It is.
Whenever I hear
Good.
pirates.
Not to mention
This-
the fact that this gentleman here, you were also in one of my very favorite
I have a
movies
photo
to work on.
show of your makeup on me. Can
Do
we
you-
zoom
do you-
in on
do you
one of
all
our
know
cameras?
that Matt is also an actor because he was in the film Galaxy Quest, and this
that
is
was
the
my
makeup.
favorite movie to work on.
That's a Ve Neill makeup on me right there.
That's him as one of the
You were a
aliens.
Thermian.
I was
He
a
was a
Thermian.
Thermian, that's right.
And would like to mention that of all the makeup artists I've had the great pleasure to know, there's only one who offered us a vodka martini at the end of the
That's
day.
right.
You get your makeup off, you get a hot towel, and then V makes you a martini.
Yeah, there you go.
So thank
We can't
you.
do that anymore,
We can't do
unfortunately.
that anymore. Or at least we can't admit that we're doing that
And
anymore.
can I also say that I think some of my funnest films to work on and such an amazing pleasure was working with your dad, Stan. And I couldn't have been happier. I mean, that was, the first one was Edward Scissorhands, one of my
Scissorhands.
favorite all-time films.
Yep.
And then we did, it had to be the Batman films next.
The Batman movies.
The Batman
Or the
films.
Batman Returns.
Batman Returns,
Batman
yeah,
Returns.
because Rick did the other ones.
Yeah.
Batman Returns, and then of course Galaxy Quest,
Yep.
which I.
He loved
was-
you very much.
He was great. I
I-
remember calling him up and saying, "Stan, I really, really want to work on this movie." I said, "I'll do a really good job for you. I'll tell him you did it all. I don't care."
Perfect. You're in. You're in. Let's go.
I've got to interject. You know, there was I worked on Edward Scissorhands myself, and everyone was abuzz the day that you were coming in to assess the appliances and
Oh, really?
take a look. And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm going to meet Ve Neill." I didn't meet you, but I saw you from afar, and I was like, "Ve Neill!"
He's had some psychological work
was the
done
hot
since
dog.
then, so it's different. We got to wrap this segment up. I
Okay,
want to
cool.
give a huge, huge applause to our guest, our first guest host of the day, Jordu Schell.
Yay!
Come on, put it up, put it up.
Good job, buddy.
And to what better way to go out than with Ve Neill? Thank you so
Matt.
much for
Thank
being
you.
with us.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.